Bungie. Every day it's something new with this company, I swear. Today we're talking about overhype and under delivery when it comes to the epic version of the Desert Perpetual raid race that's happening this Saturday. If you don't know, to rewind the clock and give you the full TLDR, Bungie dropped this article right here called Developer Insight Raids and Dungeons, September 25th, 2024. So exactly 1 year ago today. And in this article, they actually share with us an update to the raid challenges. In the first major update following codename Apollo, the raid will receive a challenge update, adding new rewards, new mechanics, new feats, and potentially even new encounters. Which obviously, when you flirt with this idea right here, you're going to get the community extremely excited. Because it doesn't matter who you are. If you're talking about a raid that has, let's say, 4 encounters like Desert Perpetual, if you add a whole new encounter, that means there's a whole new boss, mechanics, and this just adds a ton of excitement and intrigue to the existing raid. And we know for a fact that Bungie does work on and develop extra encounters for some raids. In fact, to give you an idea of just how much they do this, there was once a point in time where Crota's End and King's Fall was all a part of one mega raid. A raid that is the combination of those two raids. My mind is literally blown away because that would be incredible, right? So the idea of adding not just one, but it says right here, encounters, plural, potentially adding 2 encounters to the new raid, Desert Perpetual, when it's already considered one of the best raids out there, felt like a really intriguing and interesting idea. If you don't know, these raids drop with an absolute minimum of 4 encounters. Every raid in the history of Destiny has always had at least 4 encounters, and some of the bigger ones, they're called Comets. Originally in the Destiny 1 blueprint, they called these raids the Comet raids. They have 5 encounters, so we're talking about like Vault of Glass, King's Fall, Wrath of the Machine, etc. So the fact that Desert Perpetual dropped with 4 encounters and with the potential to add new encounters really had the community thinking, okay, we're at least going to get 1 for sure, right? I mean, if they're going to flirt with the idea of bringing potentially 2, then at least give us 1. Well, now fast forward to today, and we actually have some information that's looking pretty bleak. G Miners tweeted out here saying, slight spoiler warning, if this triumph for earning the Fractured Timeline emblem, which is assumed to be the Epic Contest emblem, is accurate, it suggests there is only 4 encounters still. Not having a new encounter would be such a letdown, in my opinion. All speculation. So if you don't know, there's this Fractured Timeline emblem, and it shows the bosses necessary to defeat, so that way you can get this during the epic raid race in the first 48 hours of Desert Perpetual. Now, assuming that Bungie doesn't, I guess, update this, or that maybe they're just really trying to keep it under wraps and keep it hidden, this is looking bad, right? And a lot of people are upset because we used to get, within a calendar year, 2 raids and 2 dungeons. So that gave us like 4 end game activities to really sink our teeth into as we wait for the next thing to come around. But of course, due to over delivery and the GDC conference that said that basically Bungie can't keep that pattern going forever, we've now been deduced to 1 new raid and 1 dungeon a year. And upon hearing that over delivery news from the GDC conference that we were going from 2 raids and 2 dungeons down to 1 raid and 1 dungeon without any meaningful trade-off, really pissed off the Destiny 2 community. Like, everyone was like, what? You're going to charge us the same money, but just give us less content throughout the calendar year? Hell no. And so Bungie's response to this was essentially to give the raids a sort of revamp a few months after they come out. So that way we get multiple raid races within 1 calendar year. So for example, we had the Desert Perpetual raid race that launched. It had its world's first clear, with Snazzy Rock. It had 70% cheaters, controversy. It was a crazy time for that raid race, right? Well, now we're going to get another raid race with the epic version. So even though technically we're not getting 2 raids a year, we are getting at least 2 raid races a year. So it feels like the trade-off is that we're basically going to get more out of each raid because they're going to add to them with these challenge updates, updated rewards, and updated mechanics. And that was the reason why the Destiny 2 community kind of simmered down a little bit from all of their frustration about over-delivery and the lack of 2 raids a year. But now, like a pressure cooker, everything is heating back up once again, because if Bungie is going to try and deliver us even less than what they promised previously, they're going to reignite the flames and just get everyone riled up and angry against them. because the Destiny 2 community is getting sick and tired of paying the same expensive price to play this game while getting a devalued and lesser product every year, year after year. This is usually not how businesses go. They usually scale up, right? You usually get a better product and you get more year after year. Like the value of the money you invest into it improves the product and your company ideally scales up. But obviously, we're seeing the complete inverse of that. We're seeing Bungie have mass layoffs, multiple rounds of mass layoffs, kicking their CEO out, Pete Parsons. And along with that, we're getting delivered significantly less content, and they're trying to repackage and repurpose the existing content that they have to make it more replayable. And that's the purpose of the portal. And to be fair, I'm not here to bash the portal anymore. I do think that it really missed the mark, but there is a potential for the portal to be successful if it was developed even further. It's gonna really take some time, and Bungie's gonna actually have to be pretty dedicated to fit the entirety of pre-Edge of Fate Destiny 2 into the portal and actually make the modifiers intriguing and interesting. But the portal aside, if we're only going to have one raid a year, we want to be able to play that repeatedly throughout the year and actually have it be interesting. So a new encounter was a really key part to this. And it was not unreasonable for the Destiny 2 community to request a 4-encounter raid like Desert Perpetual to be turned into a 5-encounter raid. We've never seen this be done before. We have had hard modes for the raids and things like that, but we've never had a raid actually transformed and had a new encounter tacked onto it. So the fact that Bungie flirted with this idea was really intriguing and really interesting. And the fact that it seems like that might not actually happen has really gotten a lot of people upset on Twitter. To be fair, though, we haven't actually seen what the Desert Perpetual Epic Raid looks like now with its updated mechanics. Hopefully it still plays out well, and maybe Bungie is just playing this one close to their chest. They're keeping everything hidden under lock and key, and maybe there is actually a new encounter. Please let that be the case, because that would be so much better than just an update to rewards and mechanics, even though that is still pretty good. Like, I'm not going to deny updated rewards, updated mechanics, still intriguing, but a new encounter is crazy. And not only is it crazy for just this raid, Desert Perpetual, but if you think about it, if they can go into an existing raid and add a new encounter, this actually creates a lot of intrigue for previous raids and previous dungeons. Imagine they go back into some of the classic raids that only already had 4 encounters, and they added a 5th encounter to some of those raids. This would be really interesting and really fun to see. And we have seen, I guess, maybe something kind of like that happened with Leviathan, where it had the initial raid launch, and then they had like raid layers that were kind of tacked onto it. So it was like the same launch space, but then raid layers were put onto it with Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars. So we kind of have seen this in the past, and to be fair, Leviathan was easily one of the best raids of all time, with especially when you tack on all the raid layers. So anything that's heading down that route is good to me. Let me know what you think, though, down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the upcoming Epic Raid race? If you're interested in watching it, my team will be competing in this. So make sure you come by my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/lucky10p. The link will be down in the description below. Make sure to drop a follow. And that's a wrap on this one. We'll see you in the next one. Later.